Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty big news coming out over here when it comes to PlayStation and the PlayStation 5, where they're getting a little bit of an ego going on, but I think all things considered, I think they kind of deserve it, where they actually have some big sales numbers and goals and ambitions that they're going to be trudging for throughout these next, I'd probably say next year or so. And as well, when it comes to all this type of news, we actually have some pretty good news when it comes to Japan, other regions, and everything else in between. So if you guys will stay tuned, relax, and enjoy, and here's some pretty cool news when it does come to the PlayStation 5. And as well, I keep on telling you guys, I actually might go take a few days off to go and actually set up our brand new setup, so if you guys will be on the lookout for that and enjoy, because I am super excited to have a little bit of a switch up finally on all of our videos and content and all that stuff, so be on the lookout for that. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below. Leave a like, subscribe with those notifications on, and all the usual sellout Amazon or Target links as well to go pick up your consoles, and let's dive into the business. So very first and foremost, as you guys have probably been seeing, we've been seeing a really big influx of Sony stock, consoles pretty much everywhere throughout the entire world. And when it comes to consoles, we've been seeing Sony having a pretty big goal. And what we mean by that is that we're going to see some pretty big numbers, pretty big goals, and pretty big, well, everything in between, where they want to sell a lot of consoles, get a lot of consoles on the market, and, well, basically, hopefully, fingers crossed, be kind of cool and we'll get a lot of folks in consoles. But right now, we're actually seeing like the ego coming out over here, where Sony is confident that the PS5 can break 60 million sales. Sony President Hiroki Totoki is confident that the PlayStation 5 will sell over 60 million units, expects to sell PS5s continuously in fourth year after launch. So, what does that kind of mean? What's kind of the breakdown for this one? Number one is that obviously, when it comes to any of these big consoles, like the Switch, the Xbox, or PlayStation, they're going to want to go and sell over 60 million units. Probably the biggest because, well, you always want to be growing, you always want to be expanding, you always want to be doing a little bit more and more and more when it comes to selling units, making money, capitalism, all that good stuff, just all around the good stuff. And, well, for right now, they're around like the 30 million mark, but some of the big sales numbers they want to make throughout the next 12 months are kind of astronomical. Now that the actual PlayStation 5 shortage and all these issues and semiconductors and everything else in between are all actually kind of now getting sorted and kind of vibing out over here, it does kind of seem like everything's getting a little bit more on the, well, normal side. And I kind of like this because it means that we can, well, normally go get our consoles. But it doesn't mean that Sony's not going to be aiming big and pushing big to go and, well, try to go and grow. So Sony believes that the PlayStation 5 will be selling throughout over 60 million consoles throughout its lifespan. Now, if you guys have been kind of watching the tracking and trajectories and all of that, I feel like that's quite, well, low. In my honest opinion, I think 60 million is going to be like, I'd probably consider the PlayStation 5 an actual, like, well, disappointment, just not good. So with 32.1 million shipments to date, the PlayStation 5 is off to a great start considering its supply issues. Sony management expects to at least double that figure in the coming years as the company ramps up production and manufacturing of the system, where it does kind of seem like Sony's about to go pretty hardcore and they want to try to make as many consoles as they can to go and flood the market and sell them as many things as they possibly can. Could the PlayStation 5 outsell the PS5? It's hard to say because that's literally the PS5 outside the PS5. I'm not sure how you actually go do that. I think it's a little bit of a mess up in the article itself. They probably mean the PS4, but they go into the PS5 still has not shipped as much as the PS4 did in launch aligned sales. Figures show that the PS4 achieved 37.9 million shipments in its first 9 quarters, as compared to the PS5's 32.1 million. So as of right now, it's still around 5.8 million numbers behind, which if you also factor in like the semiconductor shortages and everything else in between, it's very, very weird. Because it looks like they're trying their hardest, and like 30 million's nothing to scuff at. I mean, even compared to like, say, the Xbox or Switch, is doing very, very well. But it also isn't like the undisputed number one where it's just so astronomically high, because even look at the PS4, like the PS4 sold even better. So Sony hasn't commented on whether or not the PS5 will beat the PS4. I kind of feel like depending on how long the life cycle is, based on the hype, based on the factory, manufacturing, and everything in between, we're probably going to see the PlayStation 5 most likely beat the PS4. Now, the PS4 is still actually selling consoles, and they're still having issues and all of that, and they're still doing pretty good, but at the end of the day, it is a little bit on the, well, weirder side. Mainly because, well, it's just not beating it. Like, it's right now, it's a little bit slacking behind. And as of right now, they want to go and try their best to make as many consoles as they possibly can to go try to hit that 60 million number. Like, 60 million at this point is about doubling what they've done around 3 years, like running up to the 3-year mark, which is kind of nuts. They go and say, I think we have a good chance to exceed the 60 million units. In all honesty, I'm still once again saying if they don't hit that, well, at least 60 million, they're kind of slacking, and they're kind of not going to be doing so well. And as you guys may know, we sold more than 100 million units in the era of the PS4. Sony co-president and COO Hiroki Toki said in a recent Morgan Stanley Tech conference. And like I said, like if they somehow can't break 60 million after selling over 100 million PS4s, they're probably going to get, well, yelled at by the big Sony bigwigs, but as well, it's kind of would be almost like a big lackluster. I mean, depending on how long the cycle actually goes. So just going to actually kind of go look through some of these PS4 and PS5 cycle numbers, as you guys can go and see. Or funny enough, in quarter 3, which is probably like the more, I guess, more important numbers to go look at over here. I'm going to move this up for you guys to see. Basically, as you guys can see over here, PS4 had 4.5 at the start, then 3.3, and they had a little bit of a slog. Like you guys can kind of go and tell, or if you guys even remember, quarter 4 was very, very low. Quarter 1 as well at 2.4, 2 million, which is still good, I guess, but think more on the global side. The PS4 is still trucking around at least like a million or 0.5 million, even when the console's still around for a long time, and it just kind of seems like the numbers just really weren't that big overall. Now, as of this past quarter 3, as you guys can look over here, for 7.1 million, one of the highest numbers of consoles sold, literally right there, it kind of goes to show that, well, they might have some gusto. They might actually have a chance to go and pop off and have a chance to, well, get all these consoles out and go and sell some consoles. So it's very, very intriguing, very, very cool to go and see. And I don't know, I like the idea that they're making so many and working so hard. But one of the big issues is that it's going to be hard to go compete with the PS4. Because if you guys look at some of these fiscal years, look at like the fiscal year of 2016, 9.7. Or look at quarter 3 over here, 9. Or quarter 3 over here, 8.1. Where they're just churning consoles out. They're making a lot of different consoles, making a lot of good moves, and kind of making some good progress. And I love seeing this. I love seeing the fact that there's so many consoles out there. And they've been doing really good. Like, they've all around just been everywhere. So Tokoki continues by underlying how the PS4's user base could have also eventually move over to the PS5, and that Sony has achieved higher user acquisition with its new systems. It's kind of like if you bought a console PS4 in like 2020, you may want to wait a little bit while to go make it all good. We have extremely loyal users in the PS4 that could move to the PS5. We have built the PS5 to deliver a better user experience, and surprisingly, current proportions for the PS5 show that 30% of PS5 owners do not have a PS4. So we have captured new user acquisitions for the PS5 that provides us with a good potential with the PS5's ecosystem expansion and increased penetration. We also bring our first-party titles to our PC platform as well as mobile platforms, and this provides a great opportunity to increase our MAUs in the future. So basically, they kind of know that they're getting a lot of new users. PS4 users can also turn over, especially for someone who maybe bought their consoles, like I said, in like 2020. And at the end of the day, I do think that they have some good potential. They have some big growth potentials, and overall, I think it's pretty nice. So Toki was asked when the PS5 will peak. Console generations typically see its hardware peak in the 4th year after launch, so we still have a little while before the peak happens over here, and software will usually peak around the 5th year. However, COVID-19 has disrupted the market and redefined what a console gen actually really is. So when will the PS5 peak? He actually doesn't even know. But he does say that Sony expects it to continuously sell the PS5s after the system's 4th year on the market, and I would hope so, as we kind of even made a video yesterday discussing the PS6 and its potential launch dates and all that. I'm not even going to predict when hardware units will peak, but I really hope that we will continuously sell the PS5 even beyond the 4th year of launch. That is our hope and expectation. Hardware penetration on the PS5 is important, but increasing MAUs, as I said before, will be executed by penetrating the PC and mobile market, and it does kind of seem like they want to focus a bit more on all of that. Complete with the hardware sales, we can increase the MAU. In that sense, rather than just hardware, MAUs are a very important KPI for now. So all this is kind of intriguing because we've also been seeing, say, even Japan, where we're seeing all these big numbers and big sales and all these companies working on stuff, but the PS5 has actually surpassed 3 million sales in Japan by kind of just moving up and up and up. So a headline has seemed to be overlooked earlier in the week. The PS5 has actually just surpassed the 3 million sales mark in Japan, and there's a really promising milestone for a console that appeared to be struggling right out of the gate. But as they've been on the case worldwide, PS5 sales have been skyrocketing thanks to Sony's big stock issues largely being sorted. So very recently it was revealed that the PS5 sales are actually up over 427% year over year in Japan, which gives you some idea how improved the situation really is. And current gen console managed to shift over 360,000 units as well, just through February alone. So it's actually a lot of really cool stuff. Like, we like the idea of having a chance to see these consoles, see Sony's market growth, see Sony actually work on like the overall systems, and everything in between. Like, I like the idea of this, and I like the idea that Sony's been trying so hard to make everything kind of go and work. And I like this. I like the idea of this. I think the fact that Sony can keep on pushing and turning and putting in such a big, confident push into their market, into the consoles, and into everything else kind of just goes to show that they're going to be making some big records. And I do think they could easily break this 16 million. I think without a doubt, they're going to be able to go break that. So I'm in the mood to go and see what's going to happen to Sony in the long term and near future. So give me your kind of thoughts, comments as well. Mainly because I think a lot of the restocks have been kind of getting better. I'm going to want to see these next like 2 or 3 quarters to see how if it's actually fully situated or not. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below in case you guys would like to follow. We have the Target links and Amazon links too if you guys want to pick up your consoles. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here up in the first place.